Okay, this will go on unspokenautobiography.com, and I want to speak on my biological mother's family, the Douglases. My grandmother's maiden name was Codwell, but the Douglases. So I have two relatives, immediate relatives, still living on my mother's side, and that is my aunt, my mom, my birth mother's sister, and my birth mother's daughter, Janae Jr., Janae Clark. So my sister is 20 years older than me. I share one parent with my sister, which is my mother, and I share one parent with my two younger brothers, which is my father. So talking about the Douglases, my sister, who is 20 years older, has said some pretty fucked up shit to me my whole life. So I just want to list them and then tell you how they took me to court. Okay. So the first thing, when I was 6 or so, she lived in Chicago my whole life because she was off at college when I was born. And then she went to Kentucky Country Day, and then she got a scholarship to Notre Dame, and then she lived in Chicago as a banker for a while. Now she has her master's in divinity, which is a fucking joke. Okay, so anyway, what she did was, when she was 6, the first thing she did to me when I was 6, she got on the phone and talked to me from Chicago, and she put in my young ass ear that, how old was I? Was I 6? Anyway, I still had younger brothers. That's the point. She put in my young ass ear that my younger brothers weren't my real brothers, but she was. Now, if you're 20 years older than me, and I share one parent with you, and I share one parent with them, why the fuck would you say that to me? Okay, that's the first thing. Second thing is, we were having a family meeting. Now, keep in mind, my Douglas side of the family are Southern Baptist women who can't keep a man, okay? Because they think men are mules that are put on this earth to cater to them. Like me. They will always ask me. I hate coming around them and there'll be something to move because they're going to ask me. Rather than open a door for them fucking selves, they will ask me. Now, it's one thing to be chivalrous out of your own intent, but it's another thing to be expected. That's a whole nother story. If I want to do something extra for you out of my own free will, that's my fucking choice. And that's what makes it so special. But if you expect it and try and make me, that's fucked up. Okay, so anyway, she told me my younger brothers weren't my real brothers. Then she said, we were in a family meeting. It's just my birth mother, her sister, her daughter, and me. My grandmother had passed at this point. So 3 women and me. My sister, my aunt, and my mother. And they were talking about the elephant in the room, homosexuality. And my sister said that homosexuals were no worse than thieves or murderers, equating my existence to a thief or a murderer. Bitch, fuck you. Okay. The third thing this bitch did to me was, after she was a bitch to my mother her entire fucking life because she knew more than my fucking mother, my mother got diagnosed with ovarian cancer. And so towards the end of her life, of course, she was in the cancer ward or whatever, the hospital. And so my bitch ass sister decides to flip and be extra nice to her before she died. Although she was a completely rude bitch to my mother her entire fucking life. So after my sister demands everyone turn flips because she has something to prove, at the end of my mother's life to help her with this party. Everyone turned flips to help her with this party because she has something to prove at the end of my mother's life. I'm trying to get away from this bitch and have a moment to myself. So I go on the back porch and I smoke me a joint. And this bitch comes out at me and tells me it's illegal and starts flipping the fuck out on me. Now, here's the thing. Legality does not equate morality because slavery is legal and shooting niggas in the back by cops is legal. That's not moral. So, cannabis sedates trauma. Black people are full of trauma. Okay? End of story. So, what I'm doing is not fucking wrong. This bitch wants to come at me and completely flip out. You ever had a crazy psycho black religious bitch flip out on you that thinks she's smarter than the world? She's fucking book smart, which is white man lies and not street smart. Like, she flipped and started yelling at me and shit. And I was like, damn, what's wrong with this bitch? And it's really, she was trying to overcompensate for how she treated her mother her whole life. And she took it out on me. And so I hugged her while she was yelling, screaming at me because I love her, because I'm bigger than her. But I had to put her in the house. She's 20 years older than me. I physically had to put her in the fucking house to leave me alone. She goes into the bathroom, opens the window, and continues to yell and tells me I'm not invited to her whack-ass Cancer World party for our mama. So she told me my brothers weren't my real brothers. She said I'm no better than a thief or a murderer. She uninvited me to my mother's cancer party, birthday party. Oh, then the fourth thing. Okay, so what y'all need to know is, first of all, my aunt, Altafe Bailey, doesn't have a backbone. She has no fucking backbone. She can sing and that's about it. She has no fucking backbone. So she hides behind my sister's bitching. Okay, so the fourth thing my sister did to me, or my mother's family did to me, was after my grandmother died, they lived at 4117 West Broadway. That was my grandfather's house. And it burnt down after my grandmother died. And so they bought a fourplex out off of Hikes Lane. I think it's 3226 Orchard Manor Circle. And it's a fourplex. So there, at the time, my mother was still living. So it was my sister, my mother, my aunt, and me. And my mother told me that they bought this so I'd always have a place to stay if I needed it. Now, I'm a disabled, we'll talk about that later. I'm a disabled, borderline starving artist at this point. Starving artist at this point. So after the shit that goes down with my father's family and not having a place to live, my birth mother died. She told me, okay, before I went out to Colorado in about 2011, my birth mother died of cancer in November 2011. Before that, my birth mother told me not to tell anyone she knew me on her deathbed. She told me not to tell anyone she knew me because I was gay. Now, I gave away her love to my stepmother when I was younger, but as I got older, I tried to give my mother her love back. And she couldn't accept it because it was in a gay packaging. So on her deathbed, cancer deathbed, she told me not to tell anybody that she knew me. And I am all loving, so I understand her pain, and I understand that wasn't about me. But anyway, after my mother died and I came back to Louisville from the Colorado days, my father wouldn't let me live in his fucking house. And I didn't have a place to live. So he sent me to my mother's side of the family like he always does. And my Aunt Faye told me that when I tried to live in the house, I said, that's bullshit. They wouldn't let me for whatever reason, or tried to charge me. And I'm like, that's bullshit. She's my mother too. And my Aunt Faye said something like, yeah, you had a mother. Like, she's not here anymore, and we make the decisions now. So that was the first time they wouldn't let me live in that fourplex. And then years later, I wanted a cheaper apartment than what I was staying in at the time. And we were on good terms. But my aunt hid behind my bitch ass sister, and my bitch ass sister wanted me to pay, wanted to put me in a fucking lease, put down a fucking deposit, and agree to be the fucking groundskeeper. And the only thing I didn't fucking agree to was to be the fucking groundskeeper. Cause fuck that. I don't have to be your slave to live in my family's house, bitch. So anyway, that's how they treat men, and that's why they can't keep one, because they treat us like fucking mules. These Southern Baptist women, that their home church is Massazine Baptist Church, which is New Covenant now, and then I don't know where the fuck my sister goes. She graduated from Southern Seminary in Louisville, Kentucky, and she don't know the first thing about divinity like I fucking do. So it's a fucking joke. Okay, so after she tried to make me the groundskeeper, I stopped talking to these bitches for like 2 fucking years. But then the city got on them about the burnt down property, my grandmother's burnt down property, and the upkeep of it. So that's when they came looking for me and calling me and shit. And I wouldn't respond for years. So then they took me to court. They came knocking on my door and shit. They served me with a court order, the sheriff. Okay, so this is the second time. At first, my stepmother tried to take me to family court. Now my sister and my aunt take me to family court. Oh, because they said that I have to respond to them and they couldn't get a hold of me. And I had to get a lawyer, and my lawyer's like, he doesn't have to fucking respond you. What it is they needed to sell the property. But there's 3 of us living, because my grandmother died and my mother died. So there's my sister, my aunt, and me. So I'm supposed to get 1/3 of that property, right? No, nigga. They didn't put me on the fucking deed to the deed to the property. So, but they put my fucking sister on the deed to the property. I know the reason they didn't put me on the deed to the property, because they felt like my father had taken enough from them, which is true, but there's no fucking reason to leave me out of my own inheritance and therefore my roots, whores. So here's how it worked. So my birth mother, Janae Lois Douglas, Clark Smith or some shit, and my aunt, Alta Faye Bailey, and my sister, Janae Clark, they were all on the deed. So they get 1/3 each, right? Well, since my mother died, my sister and I have to split that. So where my sister gets 1/3, and I don't know fractions, 1/2 of 1/3, 1/6, excuse me. Where my sister gets 1/3 and 1/6 of my mother's, I'm left with 1/6. That's it. So I didn't respond to these bitches for another couple years. And anyway, however long that took, they took me to court and felt entitled. And then they started lying on me in court, saying I blocked them on Facebook and stuff. And I never blocked them. I stopped responding to them. But I never blocked them, which is irrelevant because I don't owe you shit because y'all stole from me. Y'all stole my heritage. Y'all stole my roots. Not my heritage, my inheritance. Y'all stole my inheritance and y'all stole my roots. Y'all some bitch asses, and that's why y'all single forever. So yeah, that's my birth mother's family. On a side note, my grandmother, I guess she knew I was gay, but we never talked about it. But one time we joked. We sat her up, my mother and my aunt and me, and told her I was gay, and she got so disgusted that she stopped eating. She also thinks it's where AIDS came from, and it's a bunch of homophobic stereotypes, and she's an oppressed Southern Baptist woman. It's fine. I get it. I still love her. We share the same fucking birthday. Yeah. So that's that.